what does an exit look like for Italic, right? Like who's going to buy Italic? What do you think that looks like?
I think it really depends on what they want to be when they grow up. So, if the technology is as good as it looked like in the research, then the first thing I would do is I would split that off. I would put that into a separate entity that they own completely and then can either raise money for or sell off outright, in order to let those types of investors value that business, because they're probably, if they were to be public or if they were to be bought, there's probably an element where there are investors that are going to be discounting the value of that technology, because of all the other stuff going on. So that's the first thing I would do, is try to split that up. If they wanted to be a brand, then they're going to have to be basically built and have the mechanics and the economics of a brand. That means potentially moving away from some of the hyper friendly factory policies that they had, where they want the factory to have maybe a 30 or 40% margin. I'm making that up. And they're going to have those 70 to 90% margins themselves, because someone is going to purchase them, not necessarily the factory. And so, exits there could be, it's kind of fuzzy. I think really it's a question of, like, they have to really figure out what they want to be when they grow up. But LVMH is one that everybody kind of points to, that if it is doing $1 billion, maybe that's of interest. I probably don't see it like that. I think that maybe a Sephora, a Kohl's, an Ulta, somebody that is kind of playing in this approachable fashion piece, as opposed to high fashion, would be a good landing spot for them. But I think that fundamentally there's a lot of work that they're going to have to do to really present themselves as well as they could be, to engineer that exit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I tend to think like I don't know what group bought Brandless. I forget what Capital Group bought Brandless, but to me it seems like to fit with that type of playbook in terms of can we align ourselves with a company that wants to cut out the middleman, go directly to a factory and really utilize this supply base as well. I mean, I think they'll get bought by a private equity firm that's kind of rolling up these different marketplace driven e-commerce plays, but we'll see.